Woo! It is a hot one today. This is around 90 degrees. Had a heat wave going on here in the Northeast for the last week and a half or so. It's supposed to continue this week, I guess. But I wanted to ride today. The morning was great. It was about 70 riding in. It was actually maybe a little less than that. But actually, I think it was closer to 60 because I remember I was a little chilly. But I knew it would be warm when I left. But it was worth it. No rain in sight, which is nice because it really poured a couple days ago. But just a few updates on my bike. I got new tires, which I think I mentioned previously. 2 new American Elite tires from Dunlop. Those are the newer models. Get past this truck. Wore out my first set of regular Dunlops in the first year. About 10,000 miles of riding. That was a lot of fun. So now it'll be interesting see how this new set, which is a more modern, longer life tread, will last. So those are done. I changed my fork oil, which was the last fluid on this bike that I hadn't changed. It definitely needed it. It's supposed to be like a nice red color like transmission fluid, and instead it was kind of a dark red-brown looking color. So that required a 35mm socket, which I added to my arsenal. I had a 34 and a 36 already, so now I got a 35. And that wasn't too difficult once I got the gist of it, thanks to some YouTube videos. So I did that. I got a new horn. It's a flosser compact horn, and it's so much better made than the Wolo. I had 2 Wolos, Wolo bad boys. They rattled apart. I mean, they were all plastic. The Sportster is a pretty vibration heavy machine to begin with, but these things are designed for motorcycles, so in my mind they shouldn't vibrate apart. The flosser is made in Germany. It's got some significant parts that are metal, unlike the Wolo. So I'm hoping that it lasts. I think it will. It looks real solid. So that's on. And pretty much the bike is in a state of grace right now. Everything is working like it's supposed to. Sometimes when I'm riding, if there's issues that I need to be tweaked, it kind of gnaws at me a little bit, but there are also times when everything's just working just like it's supposed to. Nothing is acting up, and that's right now. And so I'm really enjoying riding it. I was reading a post online the other day by somebody who bought a Softail Slim. And he said that cosmetically, he just really loved the way the bike looked. It was blacked out, had the fat front tire, some other things that he really liked. But every time he rides it to work, he gets there and he's like, maybe this isn't the bike for me. He's a big guy, like 6'2", and the Slim's a smaller bike. So that was one issue. I think he had some issues with wind buffeting. He couldn't get a windshield that was right. I think that was in the same thread. And it just made me appreciate, how personal a motorcycle is. I mean, it is a lot different from a car. And when I got my bike, there were a lot of little things that needed to be changed, and a couple big things before it felt like my bike. And I'm happy to say that right now it definitely feels like my bike. I mean, this was really a great find. When I think of all the bikes I looked at and all the bikes I've seen since then, this one was a real diamond in the rough in terms of the condition, the mods that were done to it. It's got $2,000 worth of chrome upgrades on this bike. And I didn't have to do too much to it. The seat was a major improvement. It took a few seats to find the right one. Let's face it, if you're not comfortable on the seat, it's not going to be an enjoyable thing to ride, especially if you're doing long trips and commuting to work. So I went through a few seats. I had some different pipes on here. Even something as simple as the horn. Took a few tries. Little mirror extenders so I could see behind me, and some other doodads. And finally, got it to the point where it was running well, no issues with it, and very comfortable. And I'm just really glad that I was able to achieve that, because from what I've read online, some people will buy a bike and they just never get to that point, and they end up selling it because they just can't make it a good fit for them. So, I've talked about getting a low rider one day because it's a little heavier. I think it would be a little more comfortable out here on the highway. I suppose I could put better shocks on the back, and I know there are upgrades that can be done to the front suspension as well. I might get some rear shocks at some point because the stock ones are pretty horrible, but it's not a high priority right now. But I've even thought about a soft tail. I sat on one for a few minutes the other day at the dealer and was just like, wow, this would be so amazing. But you never really know until you ride it for a bit. But I am glad to say that right now this bike fits me like a glove, and it's nice to be able to just say, I'm taking the bike today and just go. I do all my own maintenance. I take really good care of it, so I know that for the most part I know what shape everything's in, and that gives a lot of satisfaction too. Anyway, that's just a little vlog on a hot July 27th. I'm gonna take a breather here, swing into Home Depot, soak up some air conditioning, and then head on home. It is amazing the difference shade makes. I jumped off the interstate, decided to take some back roads, and wow, what a difference. I mean, the highway, all sun, no shade at all. And some of these backcountry roads have nice shaded areas, and even though it's still a hot day out, and even though I'm wearing this heavy jacket, as soon as you get into the shade, it's like instantly it feels 10 degrees cooler or something. It's like stepping into a room with air conditioning. It really is that dramatic. I mean, if you don't ride, then it might not really seem like it would have that much of an effect, but the air temperature is significantly cooler. And this road has a lot of shade, but even just coming up the country road I was just on that just had little pockets of shade a couple 100 feet long, it really was amazing. I mean, as soon as you hit the shade, you could just immediately feel the air was cooler. So definitely a little fringe benefit of being able to jump off the highway on a hot day and take some back roads.